Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're doing another day of Take My Money, where we look at we're looking at five different crowdfunding projects this week. Four of them are Kickstarters, and one is a GameFound project. I think
Yep.
typically we've had Kickstarter projects, but if you're new to this, we don't back too many Kickstarter crowdfunding campaigns, but the ones we do don't deliver, right, Pepper?
That is right. The ones that I get that are usually reprints, so you would think they would be safer, but they're having
That is
trouble.
true. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna get into five different projects this week. We'll start with this Vadis and Gussy Gorillas, which is two different games, but I think they're both, since it's two wildly clever games of trading and negotiation. Um, and the Zuvadis one is by the Doctor Reiner Knizia. I think is it
I
bringing
don't.
back an old game?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this is kind of a re-implementation of one of his older games. Yes.
Mhm.
Which right off the bat, I mean, I really like the cover. I guess what are your thoughts on that? Kind of those animals,
I like the
anthropomorphic.
cover quite a bit. There's
Yeah.
sometimes when it's like I don't remember the word for it, but animals that kind of look like humans are taking on that quality. Sometimes I'm not the biggest fan of those, but I think it works pretty well in this one. I think on this cover anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
I enjoy it quite a bit. Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, apart from that, just straight up, the 3 to 7 players was a little bit of a disappointment right after seeing that kind of cool cover because primary player count is two players and sometimes 3 or 4, but primarily
right,
two. It's a safe one for us. So that was a
right.
little disappointing. Um, but yeah, also this is kind of a negotiation game as
Yeah.
well, and we're not really big fans of that type of game. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it does. I really enjoy the artwork throughout, and those meeples, kind of screen printed, are very cool. But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I would agree. I think the same thing about it. And when I heard it was a negotiation game, at that point I hadn't looked at what the player count was, but then I immediately thought, oh, this seems like one that's probably a higher player count game, which, like you said, is a little bit more difficult for us. But I think it also sounds like it's a pretty quick game. So I guess if you're kind of your game group is more of like a I don't know, tends to like more party style games or things like that, and are willing to get into like a negotiation type game. I think this one looks like it's probably pretty good. It's
yeah, and
just
that
I don't know that it's for us exactly.
yeah, and that standard edition, just up a little bit, was only $45, and it looks like it does include all of those screen printed meeples, quite a few of them as well.
Mhm.
So I don't know, it looks like a pretty good deal as well to me, just like kind of the product you get and the price.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I guess I didn't look at what the difference was between the two. But yeah, that already looks like a pretty solid addition there. But it looks like you get some clay chips, wooden ability tokens, and thicker player screens, which I hope then that the original player screens work well, because I know
Yeah,
some games have ones that aren't as good. So I hope that because they're making those thicker, I hope that doesn't mean that the original ones aren't as like thick enough to stand up well.
and I
But
could also see it being thicker, possibly causing it to fall over more.
that's true.
So that
It'd
would
be
be
a little
interesting if
heavier,
the deluxe actually is
is
less
worse.
usable.
That's true. But it looks like you can also add on some faction bags. But actually, funnily enough, even though we've got this game called Gussy Gorillas, I was actually a little more into the possibility of this one. But it's another one that's 3 players minimum, and it goes up to 10 players. And yeah, I think it's probably going to work better once you get up to at least 5 plus, would be my guess. But it's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
short
for sure.
one,
Yeah, 20
and
minutes. Yeah.
yeah, it sounded pretty interesting. It sounded like almost like a Hanabi style game where you can't see your cards and everyone else at the table can, and you can see everyone else's cards, and then you're kind of negotiating or bit or willing to trade your cards with other players. So it sounds like an interesting concept. I don't know how it actually works out in gameplay. Um, and if you would like, because I know in like Hanabi, you definitely get if you have like a group of people, you get kind of the metas of the game. So I wonder if
Oh, yeah.
kind of once you if you played it with the same group over and over, if that would kind of take away from the game. I'm not really sure on that or not. Um, but I
Yeah.
think if I was going to try one of these two, I would actually prefer trying this one first. The Gussy Gorillas.
Yeah, but if you could only try one. So, I mean, or I guess, yeah, I would probably still go the other one.
Okay.
Uh,
I think
just not,
if I could only try one, I'd probably still try the Gussy Gorillas over the other one.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, they both look interesting. Like you said, that Hanabi mechanism of not being able to see your cards. Ever since we played Hanabi for the first time, I've just
mhm,
kind of really liked that idea and haven't seen it in too many other games.
I
So
agree.
that is pretty interesting.
Yeah. And maybe it's just a thought of I think if I were to get both of these games, I think this one would get played
Yeah,
more than the other one. And this
yeah,
looks like
yeah,
it's
that's
another
true.
well-priced game, $19. So I think that's pretty solid for a game, especially on Kickstarter. Um, but yeah, otherwise it looks like you can get both of them for 59, save $5 more. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
if
if
you got
those
a
sound
larger
interesting to
group,
you or your
for
group,
sure.
what's that?
So yeah, if you've got like a larger gaming group, and
Yeah,
it's definitely look like they accommodate that higher player count for sure.
yeah, 100%. It looks like I don't know what these are. If you can buy some additional things, well, um, but yeah, and then got some shipping. I think this is pretty normal shipping prices. It looks like for Kickstarter and GameFound these days. Um, but yeah, it looks like it's set to deliver in 2023. So we'll see if that actually happens. Uh, but yeah, these are probably ones that I'd maybe play at a convention sometime, possibly. But I don't think that I would probably back these personally. Then we get into Trolls and Princesses. And you made me look at this one, Pepper,
I
because
did.
I've just this seemed like a Zach game, and it's by Game Brewer, and that's
Mm,
the reason why I didn't want to look at it because I've looked at I think Stroganoff and Hippocrates. I think
yeah,
those were their last two games, or close to some of their
yeah,
last two games, and I haven't actually played them, so I'm not speaking from actual experience, but from what I've heard, both of them are kind of meh for gameplay wise. So that's kind of been a few games in a row for them that have kind of been sounded like they've been meh. Like I said, I haven't played them. Maybe I'd really love them. Uh, but they looked so interesting, and the price tag is just too high for me to get backing wise. Um, and I just haven't gone back to buy them just because of you know, the medium to negative reviews mostly. I think there
yeah,
are people that
yeah.
obviously like them. Uh, this one, it's bringing me in again, but I don't think I'm going to buy it. So I'm wondering if the same thing's going to happen on this one. Uh,
Mm,
but yeah, this
yeah,
is more of I think it's a worker movement game where you're moving it from one piece of either the game board or your board to kind of another action spot uh, and taking the action. I think you get action points or something, and you kind of take the corresponding actions, and you're kind of trying to trade out troll babies for human babies, and you're taking humans back to your cave to make them work for you, and trying to get princesses. It's an
taking
interesting
cows, stealing
theme.
church bells.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. What did you think of it?
Yeah, just from the name, like I'm not into like I heard the name Game Brewer for the publisher, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard that and looked at their other games, and I knew you were interested in a few of those, so I was like, I wonder if he will like this one. Just from the name of this, Trolls and Princesses, it just sounded very generic, something that I'm not really overly into. But when I actually looked at it and looked at all the components, which I'm a shallow gamer, and nice components can definitely get me a lot more interested in a game. And as you can see, these meeples are just really, really cool screen printed meeples. The
Yeah.
artwork on the board there, I just really love. I think it's the Bitoku artist
Oh, yeah.
who did this game, the same artist there, or at least for the cover or something. There's some crossover there. So I was a lot more interested in that. And I mean, worker movement is kind of like a worker placement type thing. I'm always interested in a twist for that.
Mhm.
Plus, was this the one that it said kind of, does it say learn this one? Easy to learn, hard to
Yep,
master?
that
Is that
it
this
seems
one?
to that.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I always like games like that where it's just a simple rule set, like maybe do one or two things on your turn, but there's just so many different options and paths to explore.
Mhm.
So that helped quite a bit as well. So this is the one that wasn't on my radar to now is actually one that I would decently consider playing. Probably, like you said, just with the last couple games they've released not being like overly well received, not terrible, but
Mhm.
uh, so I'd probably wait to see what people say about this one.
Right.
Um, but then that could make it harder to get those deluxe components as well if you do wait for that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, I think that was kind of the thing when you when you kind of look at what you get with the kind of non-deluxe version versus deluxe, kind of don't get any of that screen printing on any of the meeples, and some of the things are even it looks like cardboard tokens instead of even like wooden pieces, which I don't know. What were the prices again? So I think Great Game Brewers got like some subscription service thing where um they put out however many games each year, and if you're a subscriber, you kind of get a decent or a discount. So I think that's what this is with $43. I don't remember what their yearly subscription thing, how much that is, but um, I think if I could get it for $43, I'd be a little more into it. But still, that would be uh, I think is this the retail or the deluxe? Discounted standard edition. Oh, okay, so it's yeah, it's in euros, but it looks like it is different pricing, but still different prices for the retail versus the or the standard versus the deluxe. So the standard's already 60 US dollars and the deluxe 80. Um, I feel like if I were to get this one, like you said, the deluxe components are all screen printed, and that's really what pulls me into the game. And it just, I don't know, that
it's just a little too much of a
it might be a
risk.
little too much, especially with kind of the last two games not being like insanely well received. Um,
Yeah.
but
You say of those, how much did they have you interested? Is this like the most of the three at the
um,
time of viewing them?
I think components wise, I mean, I think all of these have seemed like sort of interesting themes, all three of them. Uh, this one probably has me the most interested because it kind of feels most like the worker placement, almost Euro style games out of the three of them that I actually really, really like. So I think this one's probably top, but I think all three of them I've been almost now looking at it, been almost as excited about. So I don't know. This one might be just a little bit higher.
Nice.
But yeah, and then it looks like you can add on some different things, a magnetic boxes for storage, and some smudge sleeve system. Um, yeah, I mean, if it's a simple to learn one, I hope that means that I mean, it's still giving you a lot of really good options versus hopefully there's not like certain areas that well, you have to go there or something, and you have to go. I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't look that closely at all the rules and how it works, but yeah, I think this is, I guess, not knowing how this one is received yet, I would say this is the one. If I had the option to play one of the three, this would probably be the one that I would try playing. And then it kind of gives you a description of what's different between the two editions, if you're interested in that. Although, yeah, I honestly think if you were gonna back it, you might as well just back it for the um,
Yeah.
Big Nose edition. Um, that or just wait, get it later. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Oak was I think more recent. That was one that I think was also not. I was excited about that one too. So that's four games, and just why like I said, I haven't tried any of them, so maybe I would really love them. But
You can't
uh,
really call them disappointments, but
right, disappointing to other people, which just I think I've never seen any of their games like highly discounted, so I've just never ended up, and I've never had a chance to play them anywhere. So I just haven't gotten around to having a chance to even play them. So
one of these days they'll
a
give
little
you one.
disappointing
It's just,
because I'd love to try them. I'd love for it to be a great game. 'Cause I've been
yeah,
really interested in them. So
yeah.
it looks
Maybe
like it's
some convention you'll just have to play a bunch of Game
just go
Brewer
Game
games.
Brewer all in. But yeah, another $20 shipping in the US. So then you're up to $100 for that, and I just have a lot of worker placement type games that I really love already. So it's a matter of would I get to play it that often.
Yeah.
But enough on that one. That was a lot of talking. But still excited about it. And then this one, Pepper, you're gonna have to explain it
Oh,
all
oh
because
boy, a game I
I
just discovered an hour ago.
I I
And
hate
I'm
to say
wondering
it, but
how I didn't
this
know of
one
it
is
earlier.
probably the one I'm least excited about.
Oh, but look at that! Look at that title there. That set a watch. You got the campfire A.
I'm not gonna deny that's not cool, but
Just that whole cover. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, how have I not heard of this game? I think this is the third in the line of set a watch games, and I think it's compatible. It's a standalone expansion. And I think it adds little things, little different variants. Obviously, I don't really know what those are, as I haven't played either of the others. But I think pretty much it's a cooperative game, and you are trying to keep your campfire alive, and going around and pretty much just fighting different creatures, different monsters, and baddies, which is using dice, it seems, and activating different cards that you have, different abilities, which, I mean, that's in a lot of games, just using different abilities for combat. But I really like the artwork in this one, and um, just has me interested just as much as any of these types of games would. It's a solo game as well you can play, obviously being cooperative. It lends to that. So this is one I'm actually decently interested in. I'm definitely gonna have to go look up a playthrough. Always looking for a good solo game, and definitely anything that might give that kind of tower defense, defending your camp type of feel. Um, so I'm definitely gonna look into some playthroughs of this one to see maybe if this is one to possibly back, but probably would wait, hold off on that, and give it a little time. Maybe, I guess, what was the price point on this one?
it looked like
$3. Bada boom. Oh, only
32.
32. Only $32. That's not that bad. And I
No,
think you can get all three here, which I assume those would be
yeah, Cult
all
of the New. So it looks like there's
so
two
all
different.
three of them for, or two of them.
Yeah, I
There's all
think they're.
three for 96. It's pretty good, actually.
I think all of it is 120.
Oh, we
Oh
got
wait, no, that's not
that's a retail.
all in bundle
All in. Okay.
160. But I don't know. Let me. I think there was a
Play
explanation
mats,
somewhere
metal
down here.
coins.
Maybe I already went by it. I thought there was something on here that kind of showed the different options you could buy. But yeah, I sorry, Pepper, but I couldn't disagree more. Well, not I shouldn't say that. I could disagree more, but the the box cover had me interested. But
Yeah.
then, kind of looking at the artwork of the other stuff, I wasn't sold on it. It I don't know. It feels like it's got a big box and it's a big presence, and it is cheaper. Just getting this $32, so it's cheaper than a lot of. I think it's kind of got a campaign element to it, so I'll give it that for sure. But it seems like there's a lot in the box, but at the same time, it all seems pretty blah to me, I guess.
Hmm.
Kind of the look of everything coming out of the box. It just kind of looks like, oh, here's a bunch of cards and all this kind of stuff that, I don't know,
So you want
isn't shiny
miniatures?
to me. Isn't shiny. There's nothing that catches my
Yeah.
eye, I guess, in it.
Yeah, it
Not
does.
saying that it makes it a bad game or anything, but
Yeah, probably the table presence doesn't wow as much as the cover.
right.
Which I mean, I just really like that cover, but
Hmm.
I still think that the artwork throughout the cards is all really nice. And, but yeah, and something
Yeah.
when things are kind of card driven, it's kind of hard to really feel a theme or have a great table presence that brings
Hmm.
it to life when things when are just playing cards or laying them out in a certain way. It's I think games kind of lose a little bit there.
Right. Um,
But yeah,
but yeah, it could definitely be a good game. I think you are right. So standalone trilogy is the 96, and this includes Doomed Run, Outriders expansion, and Cloth playmat. So yeah, you've got your options here of different things. I think it's just tough because uh, for a kind of battling type thing, you introduced me to Cthulhu, Death May Die, and
so you're
I
just gonna have to trust me on this.
I would just rather play that. So,
Yeah.
but doesn't mean it couldn't be good. So that is that one. I think it's decently priced, like you said.
And
Uh,
on to much more of a you game.
oh boy, Deep Shelf relaunch, and actually, I think it was earlier this year that it had originally launched, and I was excited initially because it is the same company that did Dinogenics, um, which is a game that we both really love, and you can check out our Dino Mania videos. You can go back and we did that in 2022.
Yeah. Did a
And
playthrough of that, and it was a bit chaotic.
yes, to say the least, extremely chaotic for me.
Lots of scandal.
But yeah, with that first launch, I just felt like there hadn't been much coverage or much information about it prior to the launch, so it just never really got off the ground. So I'm glad that they relaunched and it's been a lot more successful now, and I think they kind of had a few more bigger known reviewers kind of look at the game and talk about it a little bit or get it kind of out there a little bit. I can't remember if they changed kind of anything in here. They might have. Um, from what I remember, maybe it's the same exact one, and I'm just totally trying to just make something up in my head. But it seemed like the campaign page wasn't as good looking as this before,
Mm.
but it might have been. It
Yeah,
might be it might be the same exact page. I don't remember, but I just know I'm much more interested in it now than I was before. So I don't know if it's because more people reviewed it and I got to know a little
yeah.
bit more about it, um, or what exactly it is. But yeah, I see this kind of double layered player board, and it just makes me think of their Dinogenics game, which has kind of some of the coolest wooden dino meeples and fences that go into your double layered boards. So that's just what this makes me think of, and it's just, ooh, it just gets me really excited. And then they got your dice kind of in there as well.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing holding me back is what I've all listened to. Sounds like it's a very crunchy game, and I just don't know. Like already, Dinogenics is there's a few things about it that are kind of crunchy or a little harder to kind of um, remember and get to the table, and don't get that one to the table as much as I would like. So I'm just wondering, realistically, would I get this one to the table that much? Just tough.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Because this does look like a lot. And I'm not as big a fan of games with just a ton of things to consider, crunch all
Hmm.
those numbers. This looks like every spot looks like you can have maybe a resource that you can take from it. You have these connections between them. You have the dice. I'm not sure exactly what the dice are doing. But I'm sure
Right.
that's a factor in something. You have all these awesome looking buildings and construction, screen printed wood pieces. And I'm sure each one of those has a unique ability. So while it looks very cool, that main board, it feels like that's going to be a lot to take in, and
Hmm.
just very crunchy, like you said, is what it looks like to me. It looks awesome, but it looks overwhelming.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd agree. It's so really look at all this stuff. It just looks so awesome, and I know they did a great production on Dinogenics. So I know that well. I'm very confident that this will be no exception to how well that was put together. So I'm sure that this will all be just as good as it looks in here. Which yeah, just disappointing. Like it's just might be too crunchy to really get to the table that often. Um,
Yeah.
$78
Seven.
for the core pledge is a lot. I think that's a little bit into it as well as the price. Not saying it's not worth it because
But
you're
still,
getting
that's like a very, very deluxe. If that's the core pledge, that is
right,
very deluxe.
right, and I think the deep kelp pledge pretty much just adds on these premium. Wow, what are they? Zinc alloy metal coins and 102 premium card sleeves. So I don't really care about the card sleeves that much, but these coins look pretty cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I would say I almost want just the coins, but put them in underwater cities or something. I don't even think you need coins, but it's just I think they're pretty cool looking coins. Um,
Yeah, and then of course that depth dragon there.
yeah,
Oh my god, a
Dinogenics
shark.
crossover.
Oh my god, the depth dragon. I want it.
I don't know if you can
Just
back just this six
just
dollar
get in
thing.
there, like a $1 back, get the coins, and then the crossover.
Because yeah, this got me excited too. But yeah, I just don't know because yeah, um, it was maybe a little bit cheaper.
Ooh, are they
Maybe
gonna
consider
hit
a little
that
bit more, but
double
I just
layered
don't know.
science board? I wonder.
Yeah, that the double layered main board has got me really interested. I guess I don't know. Trying to think, does any other game have that as a main board being double layered?
Maglev Metro kind of has
Oh,
a
that's true.
yeah, little
That's
bit.
true. That one has limits to it.
Well, that's
Uh,
like a quadruple layered board, and those are so
that's
thick.
true. That's true. Um, but yeah, so then it looks like another $20 shipping. So about $120. I mean, if you like really, really crunchy Euro games, I'd maybe look into this one a little bit more and see if it looks like it for you. I like the, I mean, it's a pretty interesting theme too.
So,
So,
like weight wise, like BGG 1 to 5, where do you think this places from what you've heard?
from what I've heard, it sounds like it's going to be high threes to low fours, maybe higher, heavier. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a little disappointing because I mean it just looks so good.
Mhm. Yeah. And yeah, from what I've heard, it's kind of got some analysis paralysis
Yeah,
pieces.
which is not a factor for us at all.
That's not a problem for us, but no, that's definitely a big problem for us. But yeah, so I
Yeah,
think
and I think all that's yeah,
I
I
know it's
think all
been
that stuff.
fixed, so that's another thing that kind of goes into my mind is I don't know how easily you'll be able to get this
Yeah,
afterwards.
but I mean, because yeah, Dinogenics is a little harder, but when you did get it, still did have all those deluxe components as well. So it's not like you're just going to end up with a cardboard version instead.
Right. And for our last project, we've got Andromeda's Edge by Cardboard Alchemy, which is not, even though you may think it, is not the same company that the Dwellings of Eldraine. Um,
No, but a lot of the same people, or at
yes,
least I think.
a lot of
Uh,
the same
let me
crew.
see. Luke
Um,
Laurie and I think Peter Vaughn is involved in Cardboard Alchemy as well.
yeah,
So yeah, so pretty much. I mean, it's a sequel, follow up kind of game to it. Very similar, I've heard.
right. Yeah, I think it definitely was one that I was a little more excited about, knowing it was kind of coming at some point this year, just because I really love Dwellings of Eldervale. But um,
Says the guy who bumped it out of its top 10 of all time.
yeah, but then I hadn't played it in a while, and I played it again, and it bumped right back in there.
Oh,
Just not on the listing. But yeah, the worst part is I knew I liked Dwellings in the system, but I also knew, not personally, the biggest fan of space and kind of like the space warfare type, um, I don't know, spaceship kind of fighting each other and whatnot. Um, so to me, that doesn't really draw me in as much. So I'm like, if I didn't know this was based off a game that I love, I probably wouldn't be as excited about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for me as well. Yeah, for sure.
But I guess what was your excitement level coming into this one, knowing that kind of where roots came from?
Yes, actually, I mean, it helps it for sure because I love dwellings as well. So another game similar to that has me excited, but at the same time, slightly hurt and offended because what is dwellings not good enough for you? You just had to fix it immediately with this new game. Is dwellings nothing to you now? Luke Laurie?
Well,
Um,
his son had something to say about dwellings, and I think he's involved in this one. I don't know that he was one of the designers in the first one. I guess that doesn't mean that he didn't do it. Uh, he he probably designs all the games at the Laurie household,
he
but
designed
Luke
everything.
takes
He's the
all the
ghost
credit
designer.
and the
Yes.
money.
He demanded they make the sequel and put his name on the box. Finally.
Exactly. So he starts
Um,
getting the credit. Um, but yeah, this one kind of also seems like now that I've looked at a couple videos, I still would say I'm not 100% sure exactly everything that this one does, um, especially compared to dwellings. But I can definitely see where kind of those comparisons come into play. There are definitely
yeah,
things like putting out onto the board and taking an action based on kind of that space that you're doing, and eventually taking back all your units and kind of activating stuff kind of in your home tableau. So
yeah,
that's kind of a similar thing. And I believe you have different types of ships. You had different
yeah,
types of workers and dwellings, so you kind of have those things. But then I think there's kind of just some added layers of depth and kind of crunchiness to this one, which I don't know that I thought dwellings needed necessarily more crunchiness, because I think that's one of the things. Is it just a really big experience, but it's not necessarily like, oh boy, I've got to teach this to someone and it's going to take me an
yeah,
hour and a half to teach it, or something
yeah.
like that crazy. I mean, you can probably teach dwellings, I don't know, relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think just the
To
core concepts of how it works is just very simple, which is one of the things that I love about it.
Right. And I mean, for such a big experience, it's with the game trays is something you can get to the table extremely quickly and pack up extremely quickly, comparatively to a lot of games of that size. Um,
For sure. Yeah.
so uh,
Yeah,
I
this
don't
one,
know that this one is more that kind of scares me a little bit. Um, but
yeah.
a lot of the stuff it looks solid. It looks solid again, like
With
Dwellings.
this
I think,
board here, I don't know what I think I like dwellings more where the kind of land tiles are just a separate thing. This seems a little kind
yeah,
of just squeezed into that main board there, and the hexes are kind of flattened a little bit. It's a weird shape.
it is a
Which
weird shape.
not sure what I really think about that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't doesn't really feel as explory type of feel, exploration feel.
That's true.
As I get from dwellings. Obviously, I haven't played this, so it probably would come through a little better. But um, it's just a little weird to see it kind of all condensed into that
That's true.
board, which
I
makes me
hadn't
wonder
thought
how
about
big
that.
that board is. Actually,
Yeah, I don't remember how big the board is, but I think it's got to be decently sized. But I do know those tiles are, they look like they're quite a bit smaller than the ones in dwellings. Which, yeah, that is a little weird because I think you can bring units onto it, multiple units. So I feel like I'd get packed pretty quickly.
yeah,
But I'm guessing they're still good quality. They're just, yeah, kind of weird. And yeah, I didn't really think about that, how it's kind of um, stuck into this kind of
yeah.
shape.
Formation, yeah,
So it's I do like the kind of nature of dwellings where you can just kind of add in any way you want to. Well, not any way, but
yeah.
um, in most ways that you would want to add to kind of the board. So yeah, I think I would prefer that as well. But these um, different types of starships all look pretty cool. Um,
You got
so
your workers, your warriors, your dragons, your wizards.
it's exactly what it is. And I do like the development minis quite a bit, where you kind of these are kind of like when you would put your house your roofs on your meeples and dwell them. I think this is kind of taking place of that, where you're putting your observatory, city, obelisk, spaceport, factories out on the board. I think they all look pretty cool, and
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
like I said, I don't remember exactly how all the gameplay works, but I'm not really sure what all of these cube pieces are, or what if that just indicates your color. Not
I don't know, that
sure.
might just be simply that. Which is interesting. Yeah,
And game trays again, which I think they did a pretty good job in dwelling. So
yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
that's the
for
case
sure.
here. That'll make it another good one. Hopefully, quick setup, get the game going quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
yep.
but yeah, different factions. I mean, it definitely looks good. Ooh, then we get to the age-old question, Pepper. We've got just like dwellings. You had two different box covers. Does it make you get both?
I think
No,
you got to get both. You got to add on a standard edition, get the deluxe, add on a standard,
exactly.
just a
Uh,
little bit more.
no, but uh, covers wise, I think kind of like dwellings. I like the colorful one a little bit more. I think in this one currently, I prefer the look of the standard edition a little bit more. I like kind of the brightness of the colors.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that's my preference. But
yeah. With dwellings, I do prefer the colorful version. And in this one, initially, I did prefer the colorful version. I was a
mhm.
little disappointed when I saw the kind of darker gold black one, but it's grown on me quite a bit the more that I've seen it. Now, I think I actually do prefer that deluxe edition. Kind of got a look of a black hole type thing, something from Interstellar or something. It just looks really cool.
Yeah, I would say,
Both are amazing, I think.
yeah, I would say like comparatively, like the two dwellings covers, I like highly prefer the colorful one over the other one.
Mm.
Whereas these I think are a little bit closer for me. Um,
Yeah, yep,
I like both these pretty close as well. But I think most of this kind of holds. I think you kind of get a lot of the same stuff outside of kind of your resource pieces. You get some metal credits and kind of these different, probably plastic pieces, I would
yeah.
assume, versus tokens. Um, and then
Oh,
I
some
believe the game trays
standees.
is the other major thing.
Yeah. Some
So
standees for those raiders. Oh boy. I assume those must be kind of the
uh,
monsters of this version.
I think so. Yeah. So
Definitely. I would think the
uh,
minis would be quite the upgrade.
yeah. So yeah, I think those three things probably make it worth going up to the deluxe if you're going to get this game. Um, I think that's really what us having the deluxe version of Dwellings, I think, is what really gives it the chance to be a top tier game. It's
Yeah.
definitely got
Yeah.
solid mechanics and everything. It works really well, but I just think and I guess I don't remember what the base version was, but if like the monsters were standees, would it?
Yeah, it would be tough. Standee monsters, cardboard bits. We should actually upgrade the bits twice to wood and then to screen printed wood.
Right.
I don't
So
know.
yeah,
It would be hard to part with it if it was like, okay, would you just cut this game out of your collection completely, or would you take it with the most standard components? Might be hard to go back to just standard components.
yeah,
I just
I
have to
think
cut
that
it
would
out
make
completely.
it drop for me a little bit because it's good, definitely a good solid game. It all works, but just one of those things where the package brings it up to the next level. I think
For sure.
best game that Luke Laurie has ever designed.
Oh boy, Ryan. It is a statement.
Whistle Mountain's pretty good.
It is.
Um, it looks like you've got this all in where you can get the deluxe plus all the add-on, Steve, for 189. You got retail standard edition, $69. So I think that
Nice.
just kind of excludes some of that content. Otherwise, you can just get the deluxe edition for $129. So you kind of get that game trays, inserts, those Raider minis versus those, and then kind of your metal credits and plastic pieces and stuff versus cardboard. So I think
I thought you
I
were
mean,
about to
it's a
hit
pretty
the
big
add to
jump, but it's
pledge
pretty good.
button.
What's that?
The mouse, the cursor hovered over the add to pledge button. I thought you were just about to hit it for the deluxe edition. Oh
I'm
boy,
gonna
he's
do it.
made his choice.
I've made my decision. But then it looks like there's some stretch goals here, and I think this is kind of something I think I might just have to get used to with Game Found. I don't know if I've looked at that many, but especially if they're doing things like this, and I think they're definitely kind of trying to bring together a community and get people talking about this game and kind of talk about the game themselves, have kind of as much content and kind of interaction between them and the customer as possible. So maybe this won't actually be an issue on most campaigns, but you can see there's items that are actually being unlocked that'll be added to the game, but then there's also like these um, designer interview Luke and Maximus Lori, which doesn't really actually add anything to the game, but it does let you know that um, you know you can wait for this day and they're going to be talking about the game or
Yeah.
things maybe. If you, I don't know if it's a Q&A type thing. I don't know exactly what this one is, but
That's
that's
cool
kind
to
of the case with other things
have that.
here. They've got kind of playthroughs and stuff, and it just makes it kind of difficult to see what is
Yeah.
add-ons to the game and what is like events that are like talking about the game. Because it's definitely a good thing and a good feature, but it just makes it very hard for me to tell like, what has actually been added here on stretch goals and what is just kind of videos content about the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to not have to like go look in all the updates and like
Mhm.
see a mention of when something's going to be. But I do wish, they would separate that out a little more.
Mhm. Um, then here are those add-ons. If you got the one pledge, looks like you get some washed minis instead. Module expansion pack, wooden moons, more upgrades, ancient brain raider, another faction, card sleeve set, drink coasters, neoprene dice trays. Um, Flame. This goes to I think Cardboard Alchemy's other game, another very popular game right now, Flamecraft. And then some jumbo marble dice, Raider dice for your
Mm.
copy of Rolling Realms. It's one extra die than you need. That's what it makes me
Just
think of.
in case one breaks.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know that I need any of that stuff personally, but it's good to offer it. Then we've got some social goals here. And I don't think I fully understand everything that's going on here. There's definitely a lot going on with this, and it's good. Like I said, I think they're really working hard on having kind of that good interaction between them and their community,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But it just might be a bit too much for me. There's just a lot going on with all those different things that are up above, and then kind of you can do this sharing it, trying to get trying to get people to talk about it more and more, get people
Yeah.
on their Discord, YouTube channels. Um, so definitely some good things, and they're definitely trying it out, seeing how
Yeah.
it'll work. And I hope it's successful, but yeah, it's hard for me to really keep track of what's going on here personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Something different
Yep.
for sure. Oh,
And then science discoveries. I think these might be some things that we've unlocked, maybe. Puzzles to win. They also did puzzles. I think this even started before the actual campaign launched. So I think if you solve any puzzle, you get this ancient brain, which I think is something you can get as an add-on above for free. That's that's cool. I don't know what it's for, but it's cool. And if you solve all 9, you'll get entered to win the grand prize drawing for the all-in pledge, which is pretty cool
yeah,
as well.
for sure.
Um, and then we got factions, allied tribes, space pirates of Nightmare Cove. I do like the different factions that they had in
Yeah.
Dwellings, Elders of Dwellin, and
Hmm.
hmm,
Hmm.
and I think these all look pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
I guess I haven't actually looked at them that closely to see kind of all their differences and whatnot, but uh, I do
Looks
like
like
when
just
there's a
like
lot of different options.
looks like each one has one of their types of ships will have a special ability, pretty much the same thing as Dwelling's had, with one of your types of workers being upgraded, which I just absolutely love in that game. That looks like that's going to be featured here as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and you got your raiders, which I think are kind of the bad guys. Um, got a few different ones of those. It looks like they'll look interesting. I would say.
Yeah.
I don't watch much Star Wars, but I've played Star Wars X-Wing and Star Wars Armada a couple times, and I think this definitely reminds me of the ships from that.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be interesting. Ooh, they got your solo mode, Pepper. Got some things going on there. You can play it on Tabletop Simulator. Try it out. Skip the manual.
Yeah,
Looks
there's
like
a
they
lot
got
of
some,
stuff here.
yeah, a lot of
It's just
content.
like it just keeps scrolling, keeps scrolling.
Yeah, that's just it. That's I think I can't really keep track of. I don't know. If I guess if I was really for sure gonna buy this, then I'd maybe be keeping a little closer eye on it. But I might just not and just be surprised when when I eventually get it. But looks like another $20 to $30 ish of shipping on top of that in the U.S. Um, yeah, it looks like we got some information on all the people now that are involved, which is good. But yeah, that's a pretty big campaign.
It is. It
They
is.
definitely put a lot of work into this page, and it's paid off about 1.1 million currently. And they still have some time to go, so it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what they get to, what all gets unlocked. So I
Yeah, for
think that one's
sure.
probably the one I'm most interested in, but I don't know that I'll actually back any of them in this
Yeah,
week.
it has me interested, like I said, just because of the tie to dwellings, but then I think that also would probably keep me from backing it, at least right away here. Maybe later, might get it, maybe after playing it somewhere with someone's copy or a convention. But yeah, actually, of all of these, the one that I'd probably be most interested in backing is the Deep Shelf relaunch, just because that one seems like another obviously grand production
Mhm.
from a company that brought one of my favorite games, Dinogenics, and the components look just as great and something different, like completely new versus
Mhm.
Andromeda's Edge, which is just kind of a spin. I'm guessing there's a lot different than Dwellings, but
Mhm.
still probably too similar to really get where Deep Shelf would be something new.
Yeah, I'd agree. That'd probably be my second one um, out of these ones. And that's just because you currently have a copy of Dwelling. So, but I don't know if I would actually prefer if I had the chance to just get another copy of Dwellings or if I'd prefer this so that we'd have different
That's
ones.
true.
Not
That
really
is
sure on
true.
that, but
We'll see.
we'll have to see. I don't know that. I don't know that we need two copies, but I'm surprised. I almost would have thought you're number one outside of potentially this would have been Trolls and Princesses, but apparently
Interesting.
those screen printed meeples just didn't quite do it for you.
Well, they got screen printing and Deep Shelf quite a
That's
bit,
true. You got
actually.
that either way. So
Yeah. So you're
yeah,
safe with any of those.
that is true. So yeah, that is those are the five projects we looked at this week. Um, Let us know in the comments below if you're backing anything, if there's other ones we should be checking out based
Yeah,
on kind
which
of the
ones
ones
did
we were
we
looking at here.
miss? Which
Yeah,
terrible snubs did we have here?
we probably snubbed some good games.
It's just
Yeah,
crazy.
we
There's so many that there are. They just keep coming, and there's a lot of ones that I'm actually really interested in. It's crazy that we can actually keep ourselves from going broke.
it is. Yeah, and definitely I would definitely suggest not watching these videos if you do have a problem with FOMO because yeah, it's just I don't know, they're tough, and I have a problem with it, but luckily it's not too big of a problem yet.
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
will see. Um, but yeah, I think we'll be doing another one of these in 2 weeks. So let us know below if there's a campaign going on that you want us to check out. We will definitely look into that. Um, any other words from the pepper?
absolutely none.
Okay. Otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.